I might be trying to shape a sweep one after that first one, or maybe even go inside out again a bit harder. So I might try and slide one in there fast.
You would think he has to make him hit it on the leg side. All his fielders out there.
6 to win, 4 for a super over. More. There it is! He's hitting 6 off the final ball. The Thunder is still alive. What a finish!
Supercoach BBL 13 done and dusted, and it's time to look back and reflect. Big Horse, an episode centered around what went right, what went wrong. There's a fair few things that went wrong, but what else are we going through, mate?
There's a bit going on, isn't there? We'll look back at the trades we got right, the trades we got wrong, captain's choices, and we're going to start to look ahead to next year and any rules changes that we may predict that may come in next year. So, Braino, let's get to it.
Welcome to the ultimate Supercoach and fantasy sports show. You are now listening to the Insight Fantasy Sports Podcast.
Yes, you are. Welcome back to the Insight BBL show, the final Insight BBL show for this season. I'm your host, Nathan Brain, and of course, the Big Horse. He's with me. I was going to play the soundbite, but I'll maybe save that for a little bit later. How are you, mate? How'd things finish up for you?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Finished 1600th overall, which is a PB for me. So very happy with that. Not quite top 1,000, but yeah, we'll go through what we're going to change and what we'll do differently next year to hopefully improve on that. Final round score of 723 with Hardy as captain. But geez, Morris and Ty shit the bed. How'd you go, mate?
Yeah, I copped the Morris bed shit as well. I finished 1468. Look, I'm kind of a little bit annoyed at it, but it is what it is. That's Supercoach. I think I got a little bit creative. We'll talk about what we learnt, and there's a few lessons there, I think, for my season this year. Finished with a 704, but captain Maxwell. Okay. So out of the 3 players, yet again, that I could have picked as captain, Matt Short, Hardy, or Maxwell, I picked the wrong one, which seems to be the theme of the back end of my season, picking the wrong captain. But again, part of the game. Guys, we'll cover a fair bit in this show, to wrap the season up. We're going to talk about the things that we've learnt throughout the season. I think you learn something new every single year about the way that you're going to play the game next time. We'll talk about maybe some rules that we're going to put in play for ourselves and our team and the way we play the game that are probably going to help us next year. We'll also talk about our best trades, our duds, and a fair bit more. So, guys, if you haven't yet, please hit like and subscribe. It'll be the last one of this season, but we will be back next year, probably in October to start preseason. But also there's plenty happening in Inside as well, with NRL and AFL about to kick off, and plenty happening in the preseason there. And the NBL is still pumping with Matrix and Hammer over at the Inside NBL show. So you can't miss that either. 4 weeks left, I think it is, for NBL season to finish up. So check them out. And jump in the Discord. We've got some exciting stuff happening we'll talk about at the end of the show as well. Mate, let's move on to our final squeeze of the week, brought to you by The Standard Squeeze. The guys help you drink responsibly and conveniently, so you can go to their website. The website is thestandardsqueeze.com, and you can use the code INSIGHT15. Go and get yourself 15% off. You can go and get one of these little 4-in-1s here that I got me drinking. You can go and get yourself a combo pack that gives you the perfect pour every time. They've got some merch. They've got some other cool stuff on there. So go and help out or support those that support us. The squeeze of the week is Cruz. Congratulations, Cruz, round 9, coach of Hitman, his team is, with a 965. And I can probably guess that he didn't have many Sydney Thunder players in his team, Mick.
I'm going to guess he probably had 0.
I think the winner of the week had 0 as well. I think Cruz came 4th for the week. So very, very nice score.
While you're discussing that, I'll just jump into his team and have a look.
Oh, sorry, ranked 43 for the week. Still an awesome week regardless.
Very good week.
So Cruz, if you're watching, mate, we owe you a prize pack from the Standard Squeeze. You can get yourself a 4-in-1 or a combo pack. So send us an email, contact@insightfantasysports.com.au, and just confirm that it's your team by sending us a photo of the summary with the team name, and we'll get that out to you, mate. So congratulations. Now, the overall winner, Mick, we've talked about him a lot on this podcast, has been Scott from Runs as his team. He was in the running, ironically, to win BBL Supercoach, and ended up finishing 4th. So he was between first and third for the majority of the season. I think he was having a cracker of a season. But it was the straight captaining of Sam's in round 9. So that meant the difference between finishing 4th and 2nd. I think first was a bit out of reach, and that was James, coach of Unimaginative Name, which is a great team name. He took out the 25k cash, but there is something floating around that he may be overseas, Mick.
Yeah, that's right. And whether people are aware of this or not, if you live overseas and not a resident of Australia, you're not eligible to win the award. So maybe it does pay to come second.
Maybe this year it does. And, you know, it would have been nice to be Scott. I think he took a punt on the double game week with Sam's and just thought he could maybe get a little bit ahead by straight captaining someone that everybody else was on the VC. But unfortunately, it didn't pan out with the weather in that last game, which again is another probably learning for us throughout the season is that there's so many different variables in BBL Supercoach, isn't there?
It's a bit of a doubt. Like, it's not the biggest downer, though. He still gets a $15 KFC voucher. So,
yeah, he does. That's all I'm here for. That's the only reason I play Supercoach, to get me some KFC. I mean, I'll buy it anyway, but a free meal every now and again's good.
The missus congratulations. I've got shares in the joint, given how much I buy it.
Yeah, that's right. So congratulations to Scott, mate. That's a serious effort. You've won the Unlimited League. You've come first in the Inside Unlimited League, and you win yourself a Supercoach Champions ring. So, mate, get in touch with us on X or send us an email or wherever you follow us, and mate, we'll get your address and get that sent out to you. And also, you win a BBL jersey of your choice. So you're going to let us know who you support, and we'll get that out to you too. So congratulations. And regardless of whether you're overseas or not, well done to James for winning BBL Supercoach. I mean, highest score by a fair margin, to be fair. I think he ended up winning by a good 100+ points. So
yeah, that's nuts.
Yeah, well deserved for taking it out. Just maybe a shame about the prize, but we'll see. You never know. You know what? One thing we haven't mentioned is the community team, Mick. How'd they go overall? Because we did pretty well, didn't we?
Pretty well. What was it? 52nd overall?
Yeah.
So we're looking pretty good in the top 25 there at one stage. But some better super coaches, I guess, in the community overtook us towards the back end of the year. But still a top 100 finish for our first crack at BBL Supercoach as a community. Pretty stoked.
Yeah, the guys did really well. And there's a lesson there that I'm going to talk about soon with the community team too, because, you know, when you've got this many people voting on a team and you're making trades based on 30 votes, there has to be some element of simplicity, doesn't there? You know, like we're obviously taking the best option more often than not. We didn't really get spicy with our picks. We didn't pick too many pods. We didn't go outlandish with looping or anything like that. We picked the right captain every single week because it was the right option. And we finished 52nd overall. So maybe it's a lesson that you just need to approach this game as simply as possible and take the best options.
Potentially, yes. Yeah, but I guess when we're talking about our Discord and the community there, that's been popping over the last month. There's been nights where we're getting over 1,000 comments a night, hasn't there? People talking cricket, and like, I love it. My missus loves it because I'm talking cricket with other people and not her, so she doesn't have to listen to my shit. But yeah, get around it. If you're not already part of the Discord community, in our comments down below, there'll be a link. Just click on that, click on BBL, and we'll see you there.
100%. You could probably sub out cricket with any other topic that's sport related. My missus isn't interested either in any of that. So the Discord's a lifesaver for her and for me.
Absolutely.
But mate, let's talk about what went right this season. We'll celebrate the good stuff. And before we do that, we need to give a shout out to Ryan from Astute Newstead, longtime sponsor of the show. The show is brought to you by Ryan from Astute Newstead. And guys, if you are a little bit unsure about whether your rate's too high as a homeowner, if you're maybe not sure whether you can afford your next home, all you need to do is contact Ryan at Hammond's Home Finance is his Instagram. You can use the code INSIGHT and let him know that we sent you, and you get you a absolutely no obligation free consult as well if you let us know or let him know that we sent you. So you don't have to stress anymore about that. He'll look after everything. He's got access to over 50 lenders on panel as well. So great bloke. We've all worked with him personally. I'm about to work with him personally again. So he's looked after me on multiple occasions. So go and hit Ryan up. Mick, what went right, mate? What are the things or maybe the lessons that you nailed this year that you're definitely going to replicate again next year?
Building bank. So I might have went a little bit too over the top towards the back end of the year, and probably my scores suffered a little bit for it. But my team value ended up at 2.7 million. So there's plenty of money there. But yeah, with some of my picks, I probably could have done a little bit better or been a bit smarter and not tried to outthink the room, so to speak. And as you said earlier, simple or being simple may be better. So that's one of the things that I'll look to improve on for next season. But one thing I think we both got right is that we prioritise bowlers, given that they were scoring 60% of the points, and all-rounders as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And we talked about it a lot in the preseason that we were looking at players' roles. The more that they did in the game, the more chance they have of scoring points. And it seems quite simple, but I actually strayed away from that at the back end of the season, and it's no question as to why my rank started to take a little bit of a dive, because I took some risks on some batsmen only that really didn't come off, and I'll talk about them a little bit later too. But bowlers are going to score more points. They've got the ability to score points off dot balls. They also have the ability to take catches in the field. I think when we had Andrew Langley on the show, he mentioned something around in previous years that 60% of the Supercoach points across the season go to the fielding team and 40% go to the batsman. So you're going to want to try and load up on those guys that are in the field, either bowling the ball or taking catches or fielding in good spots.
Yep. I think that leveled out a little bit this season. I think it ended up being 55 bowlers, 45 batsmen.
Yep. So the batsmen are getting a bit closer, but the fielding team still takes the chocolates. So I think the lesson there is still to prioritise those bowlers and those all-rounders and those guys and the wicket keepers as well that are definitely in the game there. We had some keepers that scored some points, like Josh Inglis in round 9, got fuck all with the ball, with the bat in hand, but then went and had 2 catches and a run out or something. So it was a catch and a stumping. So yeah, that's there's plenty to take from that. But mate, the other thing that I wanted to talk about is I feel like I actually got the loophole right more often than I got it wrong. So when we're talking loophole, we're talking not just the VC loophole, but we're also talking about using your bench emergency players and getting their scores on field. So taking that early punt it's less of a risk really, putting one of your players in each position that is playing in the first or the second game, you put that emergency on them. If it doesn't come off for you, then you go with your normal player. If it does come off, you put your DNP in. So I think for the majority of the time for both of us, maybe I can speak for you as well, that I think we got that right more than we got it wrong.
Yep, 100%.
And it's a tactic that I'm going to continue to use pretty aggressively, I think, moving forward. It's such an advantage to get 2 free swings, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. You're potentially getting a look at 2, sometimes 3 extra players for the round, and you've got a choice. You've got 24 hours to pick whether you want to go with a score or whether just to sit tight and take another punt.
Yep, absolutely. Last one, mate, the weather.
Yeah.
I reckon we got this right more than we got it wrong.
Absolutely, we did. Yep. Apart from the Geelong game, but no one could help that.
Yeah, no, and look, that was round 1. We all loaded up on Perth players and Renegades because they had the double, single, double, single, double or something crazy. So it made sense to load up on both of those teams. It just didn't work out. But I think it kind of created a bit of awareness around the weather. It had us looking forward each day to the forecast and the radar. I reckon I spent more time on the radar than I did on social media over the last 6 weeks. Just checking what's going on with the weather and which games are going to be weather affected.
I think another thing that went right, especially at the back end of the year for me, was not using my trades or rage trading straight away. Actually sitting back and doing the proper analysis. And there were round 8 and round 9. I used one trade before the first game. So I got in the player that I thought, yep, I need this. And then sat back and waited to see how the games were playing out as to whether I needed to trade or whether I needed to just sit tight. And in the end, I ended up with one trade left in the bank. So you don't need to use all your trades if you're happy with your team.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I used all of mine and I probably didn't need to. I forced a trade on Bancroft. I didn't end up needing his score because I bench looped him anyway, so it wasn't a big deal. But I got him in for the double just as a bit of a free swing. So I'm still okay at having a free swing at a trade. There's no risk really in picking a guy and putting him on the bench. But yeah, no, you're right. That's a really good point. You don't need to use them all. I think people were forcing trades because they felt like they had to use maximum every single round.
Yeah. Yep.
So good call. But again, the weather got us in round 9, didn't it? Kind of still sucked us in on those Thunder players.
Yeah, I'll give you credit where credit's due, though. You said that a play for round 9 might be to fade all Sydney Thunder players. And sure enough, the person that did it won the round.
And you know what's even better? I've won myself a 4-pack of Bolter as well because Glenn Maxwell went and scored more than Daniel Sams. So I'll be waiting at my letterbox for that. Thanks, thanks for that. Yep.
Yeah. I'll deliver a at a time.
Lovely. Hey, I'll take it. I don't care.
Yeah.
Let's and guys, before we go into what went wrong, let us know yours. Let us know if you're watching live. Hop in the chat. Let us know how you finished up overall as well. We love all the interaction, so get involved in the chat. And let us know what went right, what your biggest lessons were for this year, what went wrong, what your trades were that you loved, maybe what the dud ones were that set you back. Get involved in the conversation with us. So that's why we're here. We don't want to talk to ourselves. What went wrong, mate? Because, I mean, look, we didn't finish top 1K. Things could have been much better. I was sitting at 710th, I think, with 4 rounds to go and ended up doubling my rank to finish the season. Which is a bit disappointing because it could have been a good run at the top 200, but it went the other way. What do you think we can take from this year that probably didn't go to plan?
Probably cashed in some players a little bit early in order to chase coin elsewhere. So we were pretty fixated on trying to make bank pretty early on. And for me, I ended up selling Jack Edwards way too early because he played a fairly prominent role for the Sixers this year. So that's one regret I have. I also traded out Kuhneman, and he was quite consistent, made the BBL team of the year as well. So
yeah, I did the same thing.
Yeah, and I bought in players like Richardson and Ty, and I had Ty on the bench I played Ty round 7 and then benched him round 8 where he scored 140. And then I played him round 9 where he scored 7.
Shit. Yeah, okay.
So, the Supercoach gods were hating me. But, yeah, I guess prioritising making money probably did me over a little bit when I was looking for my players and seeing where I could make bank but also score my points.
Yeah, I did exactly the same thing. I think I maybe went and chased really aggressively negative break-evens when the player wasn't the player I wanted. I chased them because it was a negative break-even. And 2 examples I'll give you, Mitch Swepson and Darcy Short. Those 2 guys, Darcy Short, don't get me wrong, he was on the double when I brought him in, so that was fine. I'm not upset about that pick. He actually worked really well for me in round 1 because I brought him in a week early ahead of the Adelaide Strikers double to use him as a bench loop when that game got washed out. So that played out quite well, but he is not a player I wanted. We talked in the preseason, Mick, a lot about the fact that we didn't really rate Darcy Short's form coming into the BBL, and whilst he looked better, he still didn't blow anybody away, did he? I think it was just the price point. And then the problem was I went and traded him out, traded him back in, and traded him out again. So I wasted 3 trades on Darcy Short this season that could have been used elsewhere to make more coin. And Mitch Swepson is probably my biggest regret chasing the cash for him. Whilst he got up from, what did he cost? 80 odd K to start the season?
Yeah, it was pretty cheap. Even cheaper. Oh, no. I think it was like 82K.
It was about 70. Yeah. I think it was in the 71 or 72 or something like that because he went up to 100K after that one round where he scored 180 in the triple/double week in round 1. I got him at 100K and ended up selling him at about 110 in round 9. So he got up to 155. Point. He got up to 155K and I didn't move him on at that point because I couldn't. So the issue was that I was in situations where I wanted to move him on and make the most of his cash, and that would have been worth me bringing him in. But I had so many other issues going on, and the Brisbane Heat double in, I think it was round 7 or 8, that I needed to keep him for. And then he didn't perform in that game, didn't even bowl in game 1.
That's right.
That was a big backfire on my part. Chasing a guy that I said I didn't want, that I said I wasn't a fan of, and then I reacted to that round 1 score and it got the better of me. So definitely some lessons there, mate. Also, I think maybe...
before we continue on, though, we've got Corey Blackledge in the chat, who was the winner of our MBL Supercoach prize for this week, the standard squeeze. So, Corey, if you're watching, mate, congratulations. The combo pack will be on its way potentially later tonight, if not tomorrow. So, well done, mate.
Good on you. That's awesome. That was a really good score from him too, I saw in the NBL.
Yeah.
The community team for NBL, I think, is in the top 100 as well, by the way, just quietly.
Yeah.
So it's doing pretty well. We also see you guys in the comments. We'll definitely start bringing some up as we go. There's some good lessons coming through here as well, isn't there? So we'll definitely talk about them. I don't know about you. I got too spicy on captain and vice captain picks, I think. I sent you a message after the round ended because I went back and had a look. And if I picked the right captain every single week, I would have been 1,063 points ahead, which would have put me in first place. So, whilst if most people in the top 1,000 did that, they probably are winning the comp. We're not going to get every single captain pick right, but I got a bit spicy on some VC and some C picks that I really kind of regret trying to chase the field. I think I just thought I'd take a punt at 1,500 and it didn't really work out. But you picked some probably better captains than me, I think, in the run home especially.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. I wish I'd just had to back my gut and kept the VC on short the whole time because, as we'll get into it later, he's just dominated. Is he the first person to average over 100 Supercoach points per game ever in the BBL?
Oh, that's a tough. I don't think he's the first, but I tell you what, there's not many of them.
No, there's not. No.
And
I might do that research now while we're getting into it.
Yeah, that'd be good. I'll keep going. You do the back end. But yeah, 1,063 points I ended up behind, which was disappointing. I didn't take much short. Last round I was looking at Hardy and I thought, that's the best pick, but I just had a funny feeling about Maxi just going massive, and it didn't end up coming the way that I thought. He did look fucking good, but again, Maxwell went full Maxwell and just kind of played a shit shot.
Didn't he?
Yeah, so disappointing. But anyway, that's fine. I think a good lesson to learn is that you don't need to get spicy on captain and vice captain picks. I think it's worth following the crowd on those picks and then getting your pods to score outside of your captaincy points is probably the one thing I'll take from that. Another thing I think we got wrong is we got sucked into picking batsmen only on supposedly good pitches, Mick, only for the conditions, not really to suit what we were looking for. And we didn't adjust the trade pre-game.
No. That's something that we should have probably looked a little harder at. But again, when all we've got to go on is the live coverage on free-to-air TV or KO, it'd be nice to have people on the ground being able to call them and go, "Hey, Jimmy, what's the pitch doing, mate?" But
I'm going to have to get some connections.
Yeah.
Get a streak at a run on the pitch and give it a whack with a key or something. Send us a message.
Yeah.
We'll just pay their fine.
Yeah.
And mate, Perth bowlers were really disappointing for the most part this season.
Fuck. They were terrible, weren't they? They were terrible. From a Supercoach point of view, we're rolling into the double-double, and we've picked Richo, we've picked Ty, bowlers who have, in previous history, scored really well and did next to Sweet FA, didn't they? It was the Lance Morris show. It was Berendorf, who had a pretty good season overall. Started off like a house on fire, went a bit quiet, and then come good towards the end again. Ashton Turner got hurt. Hardy ended up bowling himself and opening the bowler and bowling and bowled death. Geez, if he's got that role next year, won't that be spicy?
I don't know why he hasn't had that role all season.
No, because he bowled well. Apart from that half tracker he bowled to Moises, he was 3 overs for 18 and the Sixers chased down 190, so it's barely his fault.
Oh, yeah, not at all. The question mark will then become, he won't be captain next year. So it'll go back to Ashton Turner, which I think is a good thing for Perth Scorchers. He's a great leader for that team. But in saying that, what happens to Hardy's role then? So that becomes a question mark for next year. But look, you've got to say, based on what we've seen recently, and let's see how he goes over the next, into the final series, it's going to be hard not to bowl the bloke. And also if Jai Richardson's healthy and, who knows where Andrew Ty is going to be next year. Lance Morris might be in the test squad by then. There's a lot of moving parts in this Perth lineup too. Matt Kelly also did not play a game this year. So he's in the conversation
he's
for Perth next year.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So plenty of moving parts. And I think, again, maybe we need to look at players that have a bit more of a cemented role as opposed to a player that might be a good pick this round on a double, but then you have to move them on. You've banked a trade as a 1 week rental to get rid of them. So sometimes it works, but sometimes it backfires on you. So probably one thing I'll be conscious of. What do we got in here? Have we got any main lessons? I'm going to throw a few up that came up in the chat. We've got Matty Granger. We've got Corey Blackledge. Global's in the chat as well. Thanks for joining us, mate. 25.09 overall for Global. Bit of a luckless matchup. So many abandoned matches. Yeah, look, the weather again was tough, wasn't it? But again, it was an advantage for people that stayed on top of the weather, like we mentioned, Mick.
100%. Yeah, whoever kept an eye out for the weather and forecasted to fade players that it was weather dependent. Yeah, that's where the scoring's gone well.
For sure. We got Stephen Granger in the chat as well. He took out the head-to-head Insight League as well.
Congratulations, Stephen. Well done, mate.
Yeah, very good effort. So congratulations to Stephen. Main lesson for Global, not paying enough attention to when the international players were leaving.
Good point.
Very relevant. Honeyball do a great job of putting together a bit of a sheet on when players are going, what tournaments are happening and everything. So, it might be worthwhile to follow them or have a chat with Ben or something. We're going to probably throw this up a little bit later, but Mr. G, Matty G's in the chat asking us our best trade, our biggest letdown, and who are our eyes on for next year. That's coming very soon. And you've got your mate Wilbur in the chat as well. You're king of the off-season, apparently.
Yeah, apparently so.
I believe it.
Yeah, knock back a couple of frothies at 7 a.m. Why not?
Yeah, I can see you on Mad Monday, but it's also it's Wednesday by then, and you're still going, I reckon.
I tell you what, this bloke here, Lockie Brooks, so good friends of the family. They're here in Central Victoria, and the man can bat. He's made a couple of tons locally in the ones competition here. So, Lockie, how are you, brother? Thanks for tuning in. You're a good man.
Not English international batsman Harry Brook relation by any chance?
Lockie's a much better bloke.
I can believe that for sure.
Yeah.
And Corey has said his biggest lesson was not backing his gut. So it sounds a bit similar to you. Was on Walter not getting Walter round one, changed to Nisa, had Walter all preseason, Overton in round 2, Bartlett round 1, Hardy, then had them two. Round 6, no Laurie Evans. So all of these guys potentially he was going to get in, but then maybe listen to a few different opinions. And I think that's probably the disadvantage of watching too many podcasts and listening to too many people's opinion is that you start to just have no idea which way you're going to go, do you?
No, you're absolutely right. What I've found is you can probably overload yourself with information. If you're getting that from several sources, then it's just going to skew your opinion of players. So find someone you trust, like the Insight Fantasy Sports team, and we'll give you our opinions, we'll give you the stats of what we have. But second of all, back your gut. Join the Discord, have those conversations with us in there. We've seen earlier, Braino brought it up, that our Insight community finished 50th overall. So it's not just us. We've got a really good community who know their shit in there. So plenty of good people to bounce your ideas off.
100%. And I am king of no sleeves, apparently. And this is actually the first time I've worn a singlet on the podcast all year. And
out, mate.
Yeah, no, it's fucking hot in Sydney today. It was like 36 degrees or something. It's sweating in this room as well. I've only got a fan above me. So
any chance to get the pipes out? That's okay.
Hey, mate, Matrix does it as well, but he deserves it because he looks like he's sitting in a sauna when he records. So I think 5 or 6 people hopped in the chat on our NRL podcast the other day saying, someone get Matrix a fan. Poor bloke. Yeah.
My missus said today, does that guy not have aircon? Because it just looks like he's sweating all the time.
Yeah, that was after his 12th beer as well. So maybe it rose the temperature a little bit.
Yeah.
Mate, let's talk best trades. And guys, in the chat, let us know your best trade in as well, or maybe your best trade out. It can be both ways. For me, I've got a few. I went back and had a look at my moves. Getting Webster in round 3 for his 217 was awesome. I didn't have the balls to captain him against Maxwell on the Stars double. Andrew Langley did though, and that put him in a really good spot. And he scored round 3, he got 217. Stars had a bye in round 4 from memory, and then round 5 he scored 153. So that little 3 to 5 period for Bo Webster was immense.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And for me, same, Bo Webster. I bought in Daniel Sams in round 3, so a week before his double, and he scored I think it was 150 or 170. Like, he went really large. And we were saying early in the preseason that this guy is going to be the number 1 traded in option in round 4, and sure enough, he was. Some of my best moves were probably moves I didn't make. So holding on to Ben McDermott, even through his lean patch to start the year, to then finish off with an average of 47 and 154K. He was really good. And who else was there? Jamie Overton as well. Really nice pick for the year. And what's 216K he finished on with an average overall of just over 70.
Yeah. Yeah, Jamie Overton is a guy that I actually didn't get on initially for the Strikers' first double, and he made me pay. So I needed to make sure I got him a little bit later. But yeah, he was awesome. And also, you know, I wish I got on Paul Walter a little bit. I mean, I did. I started with Paul Walter and traded him out, then had to bring him back in. So I missed out on some good Paul Walter scores there as well, unfortunately, on his singles. So yeah, I jumped on the Sam's captain for 172 in round 4. I was with you on that. And then the back end of the season, I got a few right with Inglis, getting him in round 7 for the round 6 for Perth's double-double. He scored that 117 in round 7, so that was good to have him. Paul Walter scored 132 in round 7 as well. So Inglis and Walter coming into my team that round, that was the right move. I just probably went a little bit late on Walter. And then not trading out Aaron Hardy when everyone was starting to talk about Aaron Hardy trade out at the back end of the season because he wasn't bowling. In round 8 and round 9, he got 169 points combined and bowled
and started opening the bowling and bowling death. Yep.
And look, I don't have connections to WA cricket. I don't know that Hardy was going to bowl. But for me, you just look at the numbers and you look at Hardy and how he performs in Perth at Optus Stadium specifically, and the guy's got such a good record there. That it was just a play that you didn't need to make. A lot of people were using his cash to get to someone else, and you probably didn't need to.
No, spot on. Corey Blackledge brings up a good point. Sutherland at top dollar trade out. That would have been a good trade. I think he lost about 30K before I traded him, so I didn't trade him at top dollar. But yeah, he was carrying an injury. We found out at the back end of the year as to why he wasn't bowling.
Yeah, and maybe he'll be a look next year. We'll talk about our watch list and the players that we're looking at for BBL 14 at the end of the show. But, mate, what about the dud trades? What about the ones we got wrong? I'll kick off. I already mentioned it. Trading out Paul Walter after round 1. I still wasn't sold on his role. I think in game 1 he bowled like 1 over at the end and got a wicket. But I was like, fuck, if this guy's not going to be bowling 3 to 4 overs a game, I don't really want him. And he's also batting 6. So it was like, do I want a guy batting 6 that's only going to bowl 1 or 2 overs a game? Probably not. So I moved him on, and that bit me in the ass big time.
Yeah. I didn't even start with him. I had to trade him in. So, yeah, that was probably a bit of a nuffy moment on my behalf.
Yeah, not necessarily. I mean, there at the start of the season, there were a lot of question marks around English imports adjusting to the BBL or adjusting to Australian conditions in general. But Overton and Paul Walter have basically kind of discredited that narrative now, haven't they? They were both amazing.
Yep.
Now, a dud trade for me was getting in Swepson after round 1 scoring 180. And then when I got him, he proceeded to score 38, 41, 37, 1 and 19 for me. So next to fuck all. And I should have gone with my gut on that one and just left him.
Yeah. He looked a bit out of form too at the back end of the year. How was his footwork with his batting? It was terrible, wasn't it? And he ended up dropping below Green in the batting order.
Who are we talking about here? Sam's?
That's Daniel Sams, yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, I was talking about Swepson. But no, I agree with Daniel Sams for sure.
Yeah.
Will Sutherland, I mean, aside from his 111, I should have jumped off earlier, but I didn't. So he got 111 in round 3, which was great. But then from there, his top score in the next 6 games was 40. So stopped bowling, looked like he was a bit injured, and I held him probably 2 rounds too long before moving him on, and I lost that kind of max price that Corey Blackledge was talking about in the chat about moving him on.
And there's another Renegades teammate that I'll bring up right now, and that's Quinton de Kock, as Lockie in the comments has. He, after such an impressive World Cup, alongside Zampa, like Zampa didn't really fire a shot this BBL. He was really ordinary, was he? He looked almost disinterested at times.
Yeah, he did. I think we probably need to put more stock or more emphasis on how big of a World Cup campaign that was for those guys that played. I mean, Zampa clearly needed a rest, and everybody says, oh, you don't need a rest, you bowl spin. The amount of stuff that these guys do, the amount of training, the amount of fitness, the amount of gym work that they do in the background just to stay game ready is huge. And I think we probably need to put more emphasis on those guys that are coming off such a big campaign. Did we see anybody aside from Matt Short kind of come off that World Cup campaign and fire a shot?
Maxwell.
Yeah. So the two top dollar guys?
Yeah, that's it. Who else?
I don't remember anybody else. Kane Richardson had a shocker.
Yeah.
Hardy was okay, but I don't know whether Hardy lived up to the hype. Yeah.
No. No one else really, was there?
No,
I mean,
don't
Sab,
think so.
we'll talk about Sab later in the episode, but he might be one of those absolute fucking must-gets to start next year. He'll be 50K cheaper than what he should be.
Yeah, 100% agree with you. I went the Gurinder Sandhu pod. That didn't work. I just thought I'd take a punt on a guy that was probably going to bowl death after Zaman Khan left. And he did do that. He just didn't get the wickets. So, I probably got a bit too spicy on that pick and probably should have just followed the crowd. Now, this pains me to say it, but Jai Richardson and Zach Crawley, I got them in for the double-double. As you fucking should. Get Jai Richo in. Anybody who faded Jai Richardson at round 6 has the world's biggest agates, I reckon. Because imagine if he did half of what he did last year during that four games in 2 rounds. It'd be a different conversation.
If you captain him, you'd be 400 to 800. Or if you got 400 for 2 rounds, you'd be 800 behind and way out of contention. So, yeah.
And Zach Crawley, I said, they're playing their games at Optus or they're playing their games on good wickets. I think they were playing at the Gabba and they were also playing at Adelaide Oval that round. And I thought, no, I'm just going to get Zach Crawley in. I'll get 4 cracks at it. Surely he'll get a score. He got 3 shit scores under 10. And then I sat him and he went and got his 70. So that just didn't work out for me at all, Zach Crawley. So again, picking a batsman only.
It's a moral victory.
It is. It is a moral victory. I'll tell you what, who isn't a moral victory, David Warner. I picked him.
Yeah.
And I went early on him, a week early from memory, and which means I couldn't even reverse my trade if I wanted to in round 9 for their double. And he did nothing in both of those games as well. So you faded him, didn't you?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, well played.
Yeah, there's certain elements to my team, and the good bloke part that I have as a criteria, he didn't quite meet. So, worked out all right.
Again, another one. Maybe I picked Zampa in round 8. Looking at the pitch, and I still think this was the right play. Look, weather bit me in the arse. I couldn't see that the last game was going to get washed out, so I thought, you know what, Zampa's going to play at Marvel Stadium on a Bunsen burner because that's what it was last year, and then they rolled out a new wicket and it was flat as a tack. And then the showground in round 9 didn't even get a game. So the Zampa pick in round 8 was a bit of a flop as well. But that cash allowed me to free up money to go and get those guys I wanted to get. So that's fine. I can deal with that. Lance Morris, we both copped the Lance Morris round 9 trade in, didn't we?
Yeah, I didn't even have him. It wasn't until the weather looked really ordinary for the Thunder Renegades game at the end that I traded out Hussain, who was really good the week before, into Lance Morris, thinking, yep, really hard, bouncy deck. He bowls gas. He's going to struggle, or the batsmen are going to have a hard time facing his heat. And he got spanked. He admittedly, he did bowl in a different role, though, in that game.
Yeah, he did. There's not much. I don't think there's much you can do in that scenario. Because roles change all the time. And I think that's why BBL Supercoach is so volatile. We've had a lot of people say, it's shit because it's a game of luck. And I'll push back at anybody that says that BBL Supercoach is a game of luck. You tell me that Andrew Langley can win this 2 years in a row off luck. Fuck no. No way. This guy knows and uses all the tactics in the world to be able to get those wins. Damien Ma as well, who jumped into the live last week and is a incredibly good BBL Supercoach player, has 4 top 10 finishes. Tell me that's luck.
No, it's not. It's being educated.
And look, there are so many different elements to look at, for sure. When we're looking at football, you're looking at, cool, if this player, we know their role, back to front. We know they're going to get a certain amount of touches, a certain amount of runs. They're going to get, it's very reliable, isn't it? There's no real kind of changes or not too much aggressive changes in the mainstays of the teams. Whereas if you look at conditions and pitch and the different pitches in BBL and in cricket in general, like Aaron Hardy, he suits those quicker wickets in Perth. So he'll bowl his 4 then, won't he? But then, when he goes to another pitch that's a little bit slower or he goes somewhere where the spin is conducive, doesn't work out and he doesn't bowl at all. A perfect example is Glenn Maxwell 2 rounds ago, where everyone was saying, why didn't Glenn Maxwell bowl? He only bowled 1 over at the end of the innings because the wicket was so good for seam bowlers that it didn't make sense for him to bowl spinners. So that's right. That the pitch and the conditions are such a relevant factor, and who wins the toss as well, whether they bat or bowl first. There's so many different variables, isn't there?
100%. Yep.
Got to throw up this comment here: big horse or Shetland pony? I'm going to say big horse. I'll back in.
So thank you. This bloke that's in the chat, absolute ripper. He's about 6'3" and can run like a gazelle. So, yeah, Dimmer, how are you, brother? Thanks for joining in. Well, thanks for tuning in.
Mate, let's talk about our watch list for BBL 14, unless you had other dud trades you wanted to bring up.
Nah, not really. No. It's not a dud trade, but I started with Majib, and that hurt me right from the start.
Did you at least get his 100 that he got in round 3?
No.
Oh, fuck, you moved him on straight away. Yeah, that hurts even more.
Yeah, he looked really out of form early on, bowling down leg side, doing all that sort of jazz, and I'm like, nah, I can't sit here too long. I'm going to lose money.
Yeah, bugger. Well, a lesson learned. The role stayed the same. He opened the bowling, bowled in the power play, bowled in the surge. There's opportunities there, isn't there?
Yeah.
Mate, let's talk watch list and the players we're looking at for BBL 14, and then we'll wrap this one up on the things that we're going to be putting in place next year. First one, I'm going to ask you this. Do you pay up for Matt Short and Maxwell next year? Now, these guys are going to be fucking expensive. Like, I'm talking 350K plus for Matt Short and 275 probably for Maxwell.
Without seeing the schedule, I'm going to say yes to Matt Short, and I'm going to say yes to Glenn Maxwell. Why? Both number 1, number 2 for Supercoach scoring this year. So guaranteed points. But Matt Short was 20 points per game better than the second best player in Glenn Maxwell. He averaged 104 for the season. If you leave the VC on him, averaging 104, that's 208 potential points per round with the way he played this year. If that means I'm paying up 350 and having to bring in a couple of nuffies at 42K, happy days.
Matt Short scored 173 points more than Maxwell. That is 360 odd captain points, right? If you just went and put the captaincy on Matt Short every week, you'd be ahead more often than not. So yeah, that just shows I'm more than happy to spend 300 plus on Matt Short. The question mark then becomes Maxi, because he's just stepped down from the captaincy. It got released today that he's stepped down from Stars captaincy, which means either he's on the move or just due to the fact that the Stars haven't made a finals campaign in 4 years under his tenure, maybe he's just got a tap on the shoulder, or maybe he's just gone, you know what, this isn't the best for the team or for me. So could it be good for Supercoach for Maxwell to just focus on his own game? Maybe it could be.
Yeah, potentially. Or is he, like Zampa, on the move to the crosstown rivals, the Renegades?
Surely not. Surely not. He's been a star, hasn't he, his whole career?
He has. Yeah.
I don't think he'll move now. No.
Let's get spicy, Braino. Come on.
Not a chance. Not going to happen.
Let's go.
Let's talk guys we're looking at now. Jack Edwards, very close watch for me, I think, over the off season or over into the rest of the Shield season and everything. He
has opened the batting tonight for the Sixers in the semi-final too. Didn't fire a shot. He was caught early on, but the fact that he is opening without Vince there, that's a big tick.
And this must be a pretty tricky, I haven't seen any footage, but this must be a pretty tricky wicket to bat on, considering the Heat won the toss and sent the Sixers in. So, yeah, interesting. 16 off 8 balls, though. Not bad. Like, it's not like he was terrible. Right. Did all right. So and with his role and being able to bowl the way that he does, I mean, we've got to look at next year and think this guy's only going to get better year on year. He's going to have a better Shield season. He's been batting, I think, anywhere from 3 to 6 for New South Wales in the Shield cricket. So he's going to have another year to be better. I think he's going to have a pretty big role for the Sixers next year.
If he's not eventually playing international cricket.
Yeah.
So I think there's potential there.
He just needs to do a little bit more, I think, at Shield level, at domestic level before he gets picked for Australia. But yeah, absolutely. He's got that talent. Will Sutherland, 44 average. I reckon he'll be around the 140K mark to pick up from next year.
And if he's healthy, that's cheap as chips.
Yep. And look, we're talking a year out of turn, really, aren't we? Like, we don't know what's going to happen in the next 10, 11 months. But if he comes in and he's fit and we see that the role is looking good and he's batting 6 and he's going to get his 4 overs and he is an absolute lock in my team next year. Now, a couple of different ones. Sean Abbott, we mentioned. I might skip forward one very quickly to go with Sean Abbott because 34 average. This guy's the highest wicket-taking bowler in BBL history. He just chronically underperformed, didn't he?
Yep. And I'm happy with it because that's going to save me some coin to get him in next year. For
Agreed.
sure.
He'll be in my first team.
The Sixers will not have a single all the way through. That won't happen again.
And again, we're talking about these players thinking that they're all on singles. Like, we don't know the schedule yet. So we're just looking at the player value. We're not looking at the schedule. Right. David Payne's an interesting one, mate. 34 average. This is a guy that bowls death for the strikers. Like, death bowlers are the kind of bowlers that we want in our team. And he'll come in pretty cheap, won't he? He'll be around that 125, 130 mark again. So a very similar price to what he came in at. Yep. And whilst he didn't look that good with the new ball, he was pretty good at the end of the innings.
Absolutely. Yeah, he probably struggled a little bit early on, didn't he? With his left arm in swingers. Wasn't great, but at the death, he did bowl really well.
Yep. Any others for you, mate? What do we got on your watch list?
I want to bring one up that didn't play in the BBL this year, who I believe will be back next year, and that's Rashid Khan. He was at 125k, I believe it was, in the preseason. So fair chance, given that he hasn't played, he'll drop in value again. Right for the picking. He's one of the better BBL bowlers that we've had here for God knows how many years. But on a definite watch list.
Oh, for sure. I had him in my team on the bench for round 1, ready to go before he got injured. There's every chance he'll be in my starting team again this year. He's such a good player.
For sure.
3 guys we'll quickly mention before we move on to what we learned. McSweeney, 31 average. He was pretty ordinary this year. We only saw the best of him in 1 innings, didn't we? Where he got that 70 odd or 50 balls and 1 heat the game. But we were very high on him in the preseason, weren't we?
Yeah, and still am. Yeah, in and out of the team, PM's 11, other commitments. I think with a good shot at it and just a bit of consistency would be really good.
For sure. Jai Richardson will pretty much, if he's healthy, be a lock in my team to start the season next year. 30.5 average. He'll be cheap as chips.
And we've just learnt recently that he was bowling for, I'm not sure how many weeks exactly, but he bowled through a side strain to finish off the season. So for those of you that were wondering why he was so dog shit, that's probably a big reason why.
Yeah, coming back from shoulder surgery and a shoulder issue, a chronic shoulder issue that's been bugging him for a long time. And now this new side strain, it's not a good combination. So there's no kind of surprise why he was pretty ordinary. Should we talk about Marcus Stoinis? I feel like the last 2 years we've talked about him and he just keeps coming in cheap. But there's a reason he's cheap.
There's an absolute reason for that. So, if you want to talk about him, you can, but I'm not a fan.
I don't think I'll probably just fade it. Unless Stars have like double to start the season or something like that, he might be a look as someone cheap, just as a loop or something. But he's not going to be a guy I rely on.
No.
Now, let's talk about what we learnt to wrap this WAD one up and talk about kind of rules that we're going to set ourselves and the way that we're going to strategically plan our team and the way that we play in BBL 14. But before we do, this segment's brought to you by Bonus Bank, Australia's #1 matched betting site. You can go to bonusbank.com.au, use the code INSIGHT, give yourself 25% off your first month of their premium subscription. You can start making tax-free money today. Now, let us know what your rules are that you're setting yourself in the comments as well if you're watching and you want to get involved. Mick, what are you thinking in terms of maybe rules that you're going to stick by next season? You know, as an example, we wanted bowlers and all-rounders, and that's not going to change. But are there any other things that you're going to look at that you do differently?
Yes and no. Probably not getting attracted by players who have dropped a lot in price. So like your Jai Richardsons, for example, they're dropping in price for a reason. So I'll probably start fading that a little bit now, I think. It may change if they're on a double and they get 2 cracks at the cherry, so to speak. But that's probably one thing I did not so much mess up on, but I was confident they'd be able to turn it around because they're on a double, not because of where they were playing at. So that's probably one thing I will change for next season.
Yep. Yeah, I like that. I'm going to keep things incredibly simple next year, I think. And the community team keeps driving that home for me that, we didn't make risks. We didn't take risks, or we followed the crowd on the majority of the moves. We made the right moves and attacked the schedule. And we came 52nd as a group. So I think the popular moves are the right moves for a reason, aren't they?
Absolutely. Probably another one that I'd like to bring up, mate, is if you're bringing someone in for cash generation and they've maxed out, you've got to get onto selling them straight away. If you see that their form's starting to dip, get rid of them.
Yeah, the Swepson theory for me, I think. It's kind of like the sunk cost fallacy. Like you're trying to hold on to a player because they've been good for so long. The Will Sutherland factor, where we know Will Sutherland last year was amazing. We know his role was awesome. We know at the start he was bowling well and his role was fantastic. But I think I held on to him too long because I was thinking too much about what he's done the last season and a half and not what he did in the last 2 games. So I think you just need to be really fluid with your moves, and you need to not hold on to a player just because of what they've done for you in previous games. You need to look at the future games and their future role. So, that's probably a big one for me. Again, like the simple stuff, make as much cash as you can in the first 5 rounds and then really attack your points in the schedule at the back end. Loop, whenever you get the opportunity. I think having 2 bites at the cherry is incredibly valuable. If you're going to pick a batsman only, know your pitches and know your grounds. Now, some wickets are notoriously flat. Some wickets do a bit. Some wickets turn. Some wickets don't. If there's cloud cover in the air, the ball's going to swing for your fast bowlers. If the team is batting first or bowling first, that's also very relevant. My preference, I don't know about you, but my preference is that if I'm picking a batsman in the top order, I want them to bat first. And then if they're bowling first, we just don't know what kind of opportunity they're going to get. If a team's sent in to bowl on a wicket, you can probably assume that it's going to be a pretty tough batting deck. Yeah, so there's a lot of things pre-game around that toss and looking at the pitch and the conditions that would probably make me change a few of the moves that I made this year as well.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And one thing I didn't pay enough attention to is players in the field. Now, you spoke about this, I think, a couple of episodes ago, and looking at guys like your Chris Jordan and your Alex Hales and these guys that are fielding in hotspots.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to kind of explain your thoughts on that?
Yeah, for sure. So I paid particular attention, probably, it wasn't so much early on, but as the year went on, to fielders who are fielding in what I call priority spots. Priority spots meaning hot spots. People where if the batsman's looking to go large, you cow corner, you're long on, you're long off. Places where people are looking to take on your arm, so there's potential for runouts or potential for catches in the deep. So I started to pay a little bit more attention to that, and the 2 that you just brought up were the 2 big ones, Chris Jordan and Alex Hales. I would have also chosen Jordan Silk if he was in a more friendly role, because I'm going to go out and say he's the best fielder in the BBL. I would love to have him in my team. It's nearly as good as having a bowler taking a wicket, because he's pretty much locked into a catch, or people aren't going to take on his arm, and if they do, it's a run out. So, yeah, I'm definitely next preseason and going into games, I'll be paying extra attention to that.
Good point. Really good point. I'm going to counter your best fielder in the BBL and say that it's still Glenn Maxwell. The things that I've seen him do are just freakish. And don't get me wrong, I'm not discrediting Jordan Silk at all. The guy's a fucking weapon in the field. They're very close, but I still think Maxwell's got him. Okay. But regardless, they're both quality. Now, I guess taking note of the weather, we did that okay this year, but having a bailout strategy and a plan B, I think is really important. And I think we probably should have done this in round 9, really. Like the warning was about, there's a risk of rain on the final game. And I still I got Akil Hussain so I could move him. So that was okay. But I mean, I had Zampa the week before. I probably bought 1 too many Thunder players, or maybe 2 too many Thunder players, just hoping that we were going to get 2 games, when I probably said it on the fucking podcast. I said the play is to fade Thunder. They've been shit, and there's rain, and I still didn't do it. So I think I probably just need to back my initial instincts a little bit more. And again, we've seen a bit in the chat, trust your gut. I think that probably plays pretty true. Any other final little rules or lessons or things that you're going to carry into next year, mate?
Probably the last one is reacting to the toss. So for me, I like my batsman batting first and my bowlers bowling first. So, or most of the time you're going to get a full allotment of overs. You got your bowlers bowling death. You got your batsmen batting potentially 20 overs. When we're talking about batting second, like if you're chasing a big target, they're often ready to go straight away, which can cause wickets early on, which can cause minimal scores. With bowling, if it's a flat deck and the batsmen get off to a flyer as well, then you've really got nowhere to go as well. So, paying attention to the toss, because I think that's pretty big. I think we've noticed that with the likes of Overton and these sorts of players this year, that they're really good.
100%. The perfect example of paying attention to the toss was Daniel Sams in round 9, wasn't it? The Thunder, they win the toss, they bat first, and we think, okay, well, this wicket must be okay. It looked pretty flat. But the Thunder have been notoriously shithouse with the bat in hand. And again, they were terrible. And when Daniel Sams bats 8, he doesn't really get a chance to get any meaningful overs with the bat in hand at the end of the innings, right?
He was 1 run short of getting his strike rate bonus.
Yeah, thanks to Chris Green, who went in ahead of him in that game. But anyway,
that's right. Yeah.
But then also, he didn't really have much to bowl at either, because they didn't put a score up. They put 140 or something. So, it means then he doesn't get the death overs we thought he was going to get. If he bowled first, Daniel Sams would have been a lock and load for VC. That's completely fine. But we should have made the change. We should have probably just backed in Matt Short and gone, you know what, Matt Short, he's playing against the Thunder, who are ordinary. He's playing on a fucking real flat wicket. The strikers are, you know what he's going to do. That was probably the right play instead of going with Daniel Sams. But anyway, you live and learn.
Yep, that's right.
That brings us to the end, mate. It's been a wild season. We've done 26 episodes through this preseason. We've previewed all the teams in the lead up. We did positional analysis. We've gone live every single week. And it's been good fun, to see the community team do so well and to see so many people talking in the Discord and getting involved has been pretty cool. So
it's been awesome, hasn't it? And just the engagement that we've been getting, it's unreal.
Yeah. So thank you to everyone who watched. Even if you didn't watch this one, or you've only watched this one and missed some through the year, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for subscribing, liking, following, reviewing, doing all of those things. We do really appreciate it. If you haven't done that yet, please do it. It would support the show leading into 2024. We've got some really big things planned moving forward into this year. And follow us on social media as well. You're going to get, if you don't want to watch the full stream every single round, we understand there's a lot of sport, but we love our fantasy sport. You might see some short little snippets and reels and stuff that are going to be little grabs for you with the information that you need on our socials. So go and follow us on social media. Insight Fantasy Sports on Instagram and obviously Facebook, and Insight F Sports on X. And you'll find us on TikTok too, I think. Mate, what's next? What do we got 2024? Bit going on.
Yeah, so we've got NBL still. So 4 rounds to go. And do it for Jack, our man in the Unlimited League. Is he still first overall?
Yeah, I think he is.
Yeah. So there's a little bit of pressure on him, but yeah, we're all right behind him, and our community in the Discord is right behind him. So even with 4 rounds to go, jump in the Discord, follow and like the NBL and get around the bloke. Like this is an awesome story that if you watch the NBL podcast, you'll see what kind of a difference he is making in that community. NBA is still firing with Matty G, dropping some great podcasts and reels each and every single day. So get across and listen to that. NRL is in full swing with yourself, Matrix, and the Supercoach Whisperer. So there's some really good content coming out there. And the AFL just started dropping some backlines. We've got mids coming out in the next couple of days. Heaps of content coming through to you for AFL as well.
It's all happening at Insight. So, guys, if you haven't hit subscribe so you don't miss any. You might not watch or follow all of our sports, and the beauty of the Discord is you don't have to. You're not going to get plugged with every single sport. You can choose the sports that you get access to in there. So if you're a BBL and an AFL guy, you just go and choose those two in the Discord, and you'll only get access to those, and you won't get bugged by everybody else. So jump in there. And, mate, we've got Insight Unlimited on the way, which has been something we've had in the works for a few months now, isn't it? So pretty exciting. Yeah,
it's awesome, isn't it? So what you get with Insight Unlimited is access to our Insight, final teams, captaincy choices, trades, changes throughout the week, team news, late mail, and thread from the best in the game. What else we got, Nath?
All of that. We've got some player rankings. So in the background, we're working on ranking players and positional analysis and stuff. We're going to do a bit of a deep dive and a bit of a big board for draft formats as well. So you're going to get the deepest insight you can potentially get on all the players, where we think they're going to go this season, and much more. So that's cool. We've got weekly trade and waiver Q&As as well. So for Supercoach formats, we'll basically answer all of your questions, all of the unlimited members' questions every single week, so that you can get your trade sorted. And for waiver pickups as well in draft formats. We're going to be doing a lot more draft content this year, especially in NRL. So we're looking forward to that. I love draft as a format. I think it's really underrated, isn't it?
It is, yes.
So we've got all that coming to our unlimited members, and also free access to the Insight Members Cup, which is going to be something that will start this year too. So that'll be fun. We're going to do a ton of prizes from sponsors, and also, Supercoach Champions rings and a ton of other stuff. So free access into that will be cool too. So it's all happening, and that launches in February. So a couple of weeks, it'll be here, and it'll cost you like 50 cents a fortnight. Really, when you look at it like that, it's cheap as chips, and basically it's just supporting the show. So everyone's aware. We don't kind of run this at zero cost. I wish we could, but it does cost money for some of these things that we do. So to cover that and make the podcast better, we would appreciate the support. If you want to become an Insight Unlimited member, that'd be cool.
Easy. It's an upsized Zinger box for the year, pretty much. I'm still talking in KFC terms.
Yeah. I'd be concerned if you weren't, really. But mate, it's been fun. We'll wrap this one up, guys. Thank you for so much for the season. It's been a ripper. We've really enjoyed ourselves, and we can't wait to rip into NRL and AFL. Obviously, I'm in the NRL side of things with Matrix and Whisperer, and you've got Skiddy and Herbie with the AFL show, which is going to be in full swing very soon. So very exciting.
Yeah, the boys love it. Absolutely love it. We'll be doing a few different episodes this year and a few little spicy takes. So be sure to like and subscribe, and get across and follow our AFL content.
Love it. Guys, thank you so much. We will see you if you're a BBL only person, we'll see you next October for preseason. And if you're not and you love the other sports, we will see you very soon, probably in the next couple of days for one of the NRL or AFL or NBL shows. But until then, you've been listening to the Insight BBL show for the last time this season. Catch you later.
Peace.